I think this story, like all good presentations, need to have a story. And the story of TNEX started in December 2019, where I had an unfulfilled ambition to build another digital bank, but at scale and in a country that needed it, that had financial inclusion issues. And after much research and talking to my friends across the world, mentors and fintech friends, I decided that was going to be Vietnam. So the Vietnamese market is largely unbanked. 8 in 10 people in Vietnam are underserved or underbanked, and that's out of a population of 97 million people. But at the same time, there's dramatic growth in the economy. I think HSBC referred to as fotastic, as for those of you know the local food, or fantastic. And there's low financial literacy. So, there isn't an understanding for the needs of the wants of banking. It's typically a cash economy. On the other hand, it's a very young economy. And by 2025, over 15% of the workforce is going to be Gen Z. The country as a whole, 80% of the people are under 52. So it's very young, it's very vibrant. And as you can see from this slide, it brings me on to what am I doing here? So my ambition and what we've done over the last year is we've built actually 2 propositions to serve 2 particular segments within the market in Vietnam: Gen Z and micro SMEs. So if you look at our typical customer, the typical customer that we have earns about $2,172 a year. And our MSMEs are organizations that are earning total revenue of less than, maximum $40,000 a year. So these are small. And it's back to the story. When I came to Vietnam, I knew I wanted to build something that would address financial inclusion and sustainably do that. But of course, my proposition hadn't been formed. And that proposition happened, I think, late in April in 2019, where I sat down. Part of my research, I spent days wandering the streets of Hanoi, and I sat down eating some food on a stool as a lady cooked it on a fire in the street. What I observed was that this was an ecosystem. There were people enjoying the food, chatting, interacting, but then paying in cash to a merchant who couldn't accept digital payments. And in fact, didn't want to, and we can get onto that in a second. So Gen Z and where they shop was initially the issue. Unprofitable. The reason it's unprofitable, and you'll see this across the world, traditional banking has inherent costs, branch costs, staff costs, that makes it almost impossible to serve a population that makes very little money, because the cost of manufacture, or how much it costs you to make your product and then to subsequently distribute your product, it's not profitable. And it's only through the application of digital technology, digital operating models, hypersensitized by data science, that you actually get to an ability to serve people that don't make a lot of money. In TNEX, we can serve 3 million customers for $1 a customer. And as the numbers grow higher, actually our costs, our unit cost or unit economics goes lower. It was very interesting. The first 2 hires in TNEX were a psychologist and a sociologist. To be open and honest, guys, technology is no longer a barrier for anybody to build a bank. It's quite quick. I built 2 digital banks in 10 months. But it's about the proposition, the customer experience, and the culture within your organization that are the differentiators between, bad, average, and customer delight. So our customers told us they didn't want a bank. They didn't need a bank. What are you talking to me about a bank? Our merchants didn't want a bank for many reasons. A cash business is perhaps a little bit less onerous when it comes to tax obligations or for state oversight. Well, they didn't want a bank. And this is where our thinking came to what we call second part of the sentence banking. In Tnex, we all believed that nobody in the history of mankind, going all the way back to the formation of banking in Genoa or whatever, ever said, I want a loan, full stop. In fact, it's in the second part of the sentence. I want a loan to buy my first motorbike, which would be something big here, to educate my family, to fix the roof of my house. So it's that second part, or that experience, that we built Tnex to address. You know, we are a full end-to-end digital bank, as good as any digital bank in the world, if not better, in my opinion. But of course, it is my baby. One never criticizes one's own children, I suppose. So they told us they didn't want one. They wanted an experience, a human experience, something that was relevant to their lives. You know, we can use all of the management consultancy words, which I personally detest, but it comes down to banking isn't important on its own. Banking is important in what it can enable and support in people's lives right now or in their future needs, wants, dreams. So our vision. So we are building a super app for Gen Z and micro SMEs, and to redefine how banking is done. You know, I'm not a big fan of the super app, but the reason that we use the term super app is you'll see as we go through, we don't concentrate in any way as banking first. You know, we've redefined around customer. Everything is around customer. And how do we build it? Well, my main advice to anybody trying to build a digital proposition, not just in banking, is if you can't build it quickly and you can't build it at the right price point, then you've got problems, because you've got the continuous change. The ever-evolving needs of our customers mean that we have to be able to move quickly. And we have to be able to do it at a sustainable margin of profit, you know, for our shareholders or for ourselves. About 3 weeks ago, a major bank, and, you know, I'm old enough to have friends all over the place at this stage, and thank God most of them still speak to me. They asked me some advice. They've been building a digital greenfield, so that technique where a traditional bank builds a separate bank on the side, similar to what you saw in Singapore and Hong Kong. A lot of the banks, like DBS with Digibank. And he said, we've been doing it for 2 years and it's not working. I said, cancel it, because it's never going to work, because the minute you go live, you've got to change. So you know, in our case, we built 2 digital propositions, one for micro SMEs and one for Gen Z in 10 months at a very low cost. And it was difficult. It was really, really difficult. It was a difficult journey, but now we're reaping the rewards of our sweat and our inspiration. And Tnex is emerging as a really interesting alternative for Gen Z and micro SMEs. So I firmly believe old keys do not open new doors. So we need to go beyond banking. You know, people call it embedded banking, embedded finance. I don't. I call it HX, human experience, not customer experience, not user experience or UI. So you need to go beyond banking. You've got to know your customers. And in a really back to the future, we all know, you know, when you went to a branch when I was younger, you know, the local branch manager knew everything about your family, your needs, your wants, who you hung around with, you know, what your likelihood is to repay, the character of your family. And we need to go back to that in many ways. So we need to go beyond banking. And in Tnex, when you log on, the first thing you're asked is, how do you feel today? On a consumer app. And why do you feel that way? Did you eat well? It's all emoji driven. And you know, we're gathering information there so we can help our customers in the future on their wellness. Okay, so you know, your health is your wealth in many ways, and our target segment, Gen Z, are very much into wellness. You can track your physical health through step counters. Okay, and we also saw back to that, you know, that time when I sat on a small stool eating soup when this idea came to me. We also have a chat channel where you can chat with your friends, create groups, chat with our merchants directly, and you can socially interact or pay through the chat channel if you want to. So we're trying to go beyond banking. Banking exists, but it's invisible. It only appears when it's required to support those experiences that our customers have told us that we wanted. Now, this wasn't through magic. We actually co-designed everything with our customers using both behavioral as well as more analytical approaches to that. Next thing, guys, it's target operating model. The first thing, if you're going to build a digital bank, decide how many people are going to work in it. Because if there's lots of people, it's not a digital bank. In TNEX, if we take our target of 5 million customers in the next 2 years, I require 172 FTE. Maybe I'll require 180, but that's our target. And that's from end to end, from sales to GL. If I need to expand, I add more cloud. Okay, I pay more in the cloud. Or we innovate more, or we use data science to further automate our workflows. To grow and attract new talent. This is the key thing. Because technology has been democratized now, very much by cloud, very much by the emergence of open APIs. The technology is not the issue. It's the people using it and the culture, which we'll come on to next. That was the biggest challenge for me. Because I initially built TNEX as a greenfield bank inside a traditional bank because there was no banking licenses exist here for digital banking. We're a separate fintech as of a few months ago. But you need to break down those barriers, and it's quite hard here where traditional Asian culture is quite command and control. But that's probably my biggest thing I'm proud of is how now IT talk to UX, talk to legal, talk to finance, that everybody understands the culture and working together. My next point is enable frugal and fast innovation. If it's digital, you got to build it quick, change it quick, and you have to be frugal. And you cannot, if you're spending 80 million to build a digital bank, you're in serious trouble. You really are in serious trouble because there's no need to do that. You have to implement a security is the must. We spent many, we're cloud. We're born in the cloud bank, one of the first born in the cloud banks in Southeast Asia. You have to be secure. We work very, very long hours with our partners in AWS and various other security consulting. Scalability comes with correct cloud architecture, and it needs to be digitally native. That means it's got to be open source in many cases. We're open source soup to nuts. It's got to be modular. It's got to be quick to change. Okay, and data science is everything, guys. Everything within TNEX, even from operations to my daily meetings, it's about data science. We know I can manage the whole bank on my phone right now. I know exactly what's happening from fraud. I can know exactly what's happening on potential technical issues or customer engagement issues. And that comes from data science. So I suppose the two things there are, talent and data science will get you a long way. The rest of it you can Google, guys, on technology. It's now 1, 2, 3s. We don't need, the design patterns are readily available from Amazon or from Microsoft or from other cloud providers, and they'll help you on that journey. But now it's all about engagement. It's all about building teams that want to innovate and that are empowered by data science. And in our case, behavioral science through our psychology and our psychology and sociology team to be able to link in with your customers. And support their experiences. And keep learning every night. We relearn every single customer. We're using some interesting open source technology normally found in the e-com world, Predict.io from Apache, which relearns our customers every day. During the day, we use that knowledge in our artificial intelligence, but at night, we're learning, we're doing our homework so we can provide a better experience to our customers the following day. And sometimes we get it wrong, sometimes we get it right, but that's all about learning. A bank right now starts as a child, and it's only as you educate it through data does it reach maturity and have relevance to your customers. Whereas before, it was quite easy. You took in cheap deposits, you lent them out higher, NIM banking. And I'm not saying NIM banking is bad. I'm just saying NIM banking is going to be an issue for a lot of banks because right now banking, with the introduction of digital and the ability to build these banks, is becoming a commodity. And like all commodities, be it rubber, oil, tin, coal, eventually it'll flow to the lowest price. And it's how you differentiate yourself through customer experience or human experience. How do you actually interact with your customers that will decide your sustainability or your relevance And that's a big challenge for older mindsets. I grew up in being on the boards of a few banks, and we were trained very, very young to manage risk in a particular way, whereas in digital you manage risk knowing you're going to fail pretty much a lot of the time, but you fail very quickly because you built it cheap. You built it that you can recover. You talk to a lot of people in older banks, they talk about A/B testing. I think that's irrelevant to me. We actually launched the product because we can build it in weeks and we see what happens. I don't need to test it. I test it in battle rather than on the training ground. Our experience, guys, TNEX is an ecosystem, like most. So what an ecosystem means is you give your customers everything they need to live their lives. It's the same as biology. An ecosystem is what a species needs to survive and to propagate. In ours, we have 4 platforms inside our ecosystem. We have the financial platform where you can do banking. It's free for life, everyday banking. We issue virtual cards, NFC cards, physical cards. You can onboard in less than 2 minutes. You can buy insurance, assurance. And you can also earn money. So we have a little gig economy element of it where you can do through referral, or you can join our brand ambassadors and we pay you for that. You can chat with your customers. It's a WhatsApp, internal WhatsApp. But it's underneath it, you can make payments and you can talk to the bank. You can talk to the merchants. You can rate merchants. You can make friends, you can create friends of groups. On our marketplace, our merchants are able to post, real time, offers. Okay, they're able to go around food and drinks and life, and our customers are able to earn loyalty points. And then wellness, which we only launched about 4 weeks ago, and it's been hugely successful. Where we're trying, particularly in COVID times, we're trying to people to better manage their own mental health and their mental wellness and their physical, and it's been a huge success. On the micro SMEs, I would arguably say that our micro SMEs are better digital transformed than most mid-cap companies. Our SMEs can sell our products through digital vouchers. We created a whole payment infrastructure called TNEX Pay because our MSMEs would have to lose margin if they use traditional payments infrastructure. So we created a payment infrastructure, a closed loop payment. They receive cards, bankings, they can apply for loans, they have a current account, saving account. But what's more important is we want to equip them for the digital world. So, they have product inventory, they can do campaigns, they can use our data science and send targeted offers to people that have eaten or friends of people that have eaten in their shop before and are currently less than 2 kilometers away. They can look at sales insights. We've given them away. Remember, the financial index is low here, so we have to work on how we represented that. They can do their bookkeeping, market trends, and we have over 11,000 websites now for micro merchants, and we've only been going 7 months, and it's real time updated. It's their website. We build it for free for them. Okay. Now, it's interesting, guys. Here. What's interesting is when we built the consumer app in Vietnam, their digitally obsessed nation, on average, people spend 6 hours and 15 minutes a day on digital media. And our segment typically spends 23% of that time on games. So what we did with our consumer app, the one on the left, is we engaged with a gaming company down in the south of Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh, a very successful one. I met their CEO who was quite surprised and said, I want you to build me a bank, UX and UI. So we built, everything we've done is attuned to that segment. It's you will see companies like Insurtech in Southeast Asia, the gaming company, who have similar ideas. We've gone and done it. The products that I talked that come from the marketplace actually appear in the virtual world of planets. So you can go to Planet Food, Planet Drink, Planet Education. There's about 9 planets and they're growing. So UI, UX is really, really important. But as I said, this all needs to lead to this human experience. So it goes from UI, UX to CX to HX. And to get to that HX requires a massive deployment of data science, as I said before. Okay. My data science team is the second largest team in the bank at the moment, and I'm exceedingly proud of them. Led very ably by our Mrs. Dr. Nya. This is another visualization of this, guys. So, it's financial, it sits underneath it. What we've done, you can see, we have those 4 platforms. And what we're about to do is quite amazing. We will be doing once more, we will remove QR and replace it by face, because QR is not a good user experience. It's quite frictionful. We're launching a marketplace of C2C that will involve you can sell your own products. Social selling is huge here. So Facebook is the largest channel in Vietnam, and 35% of people using it. They have an average usage per day of 61 million people. 35% of those people using Facebook have sold something on a peer-to-peer or C2C basis to some time. Okay, but there's no payment channel under Facebook, so we would have a payment channel underneath. Also for jobs, you'll be able to apply for jobs, accommodation, and dating. I think my days of dating are over, but I have Gen Z customers. Obviously, our merchants can post jobs to this, and our consumers can move. We will be doing live stream commerce as well, where our merchants will be able to stream their commercial activities. Okay, there are other parts: sleep tracking, healthy habits, but I'm sure we can make this pitch available somewhere after this. We're really powering this digital marketplace for SMEs. TNEX is an orchestrator. We're there trying to help our customers get the right access in the marketplace. Hopefully they're happy and they're chatting. And we're also helping MSMEs. Remember, these are small, single person cooking on the street. They mightn't even have a sales front in the history of maybe their family have been on the street corner for 100 years and no one's ever had a bank account. But Vietnam is, as I said, is excessively digital. So we're helping them go online to offline or offline to online. And we're doing it in a way that removes the barriers. We've calculated that the tools that we give our customers, if they had to buy them from Shopify or whatever, or the various other, would be about $2,000 a year, or $1,000 to $2,000, depending on how deep they go. Our our merchants don't have that, and they can't suffer that operational expenditure. It just won't work. So it's about inclusion, guys. It's about sustainable inclusion. It's about our values. And nobody in TNEX, we always say we will never do anything that hurts our customers knowingly. And if we do something that hurts them, well, we'll fix it pretty quick and we'll apologize. So that's pretty much what I wanted to get across, guys. I don't know if I've overrun or underrun, but that's unfortunately the nature of dealing with me. I'm rather scrappy on these things.
Bryan, in terms of timing, that was absolutely perfect. Thank you. And it's really nice, actually. It's a great way to start the day, because you said you were going to tell a story, and you've absolutely done that. And it's a refreshing way of seeing a presentation delivered by somebody who clearly has a great story to tell and is passionate about what they're doing. Look, we've got time for a few questions before we need to wrap things up. I was just making some notes, and we've had some questions come in as well. Now, there were a few times during the presentation where you talked about cloud and obviously the partners that you're working with there. But I mean, how important was cloud? Was cloud a key enabler for what you're doing at TNEX?
I would go as far to say that you cannot run a digital business at scale without cloud. And I'm not just talking about financial vertical. I'm talking about any vertical. Cloud takes away the problems and the go slow, the go slow stripes. Or when you see organizations trying to do this on premise, it's like watching a snail trying to sprint. Okay, it's not going to. All right, maybe a faster snail, but still. In cloud, you can provision infrastructure. You can use the tools within cloud, not just from a technology perspective, but from an engagement perspective, a marketing perspective, a customer communication perspective, a risk perspective. So, as I said, if I built this on-prem, I would say it would have probably taken me about 4 years. I probably would have failed. It would have cost me 10, 20, 30x the amount of money. and I would have been irrelevant, because back to the point, without cloud, without that ability to be able to move so quickly, my customers are moving, their expectations are moving like lightning here, particularly Gen Z. You know, I can't wait for 2 to 3 months. We built the wellness initial MVP in 2 weeks. That would have taken 6 months if I had to provision infrastructure and culture. And I suppose my last point, cloud allows you to get at the holy grail of truly amazing digital products, which is to enable a culture. Okay, so my guys have a playpen, a sandbox on the cloud, where for little cost we can take risk, so they can innovate. So they can use this capability to fulfill one of our key values in TNEX. And I shout, when I first said this, a lot of Vietnamese people stared up at my middle-aged bald Irish head and were wondering what I was going on about. But it's this: best idea must win. And I don't care if that idea comes from our most junior intern or up to one of my executive team. I do get worried if it comes from me, and I also we're very worried if I'm the most intelligent person in the room. It makes me want to leave very quickly. So cloud enables this culture. Traditionally, you can't. So that is probably the biggest thing that cloud has done for me, besides the fact that I could build a bank at scale, 2 banks in 10 months, an ecosystem, a chat channel, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, look, I think we're gonna have to wrap it up there, Bryan. But if anyone else has any questions, and obviously Bryan is available to interact with over the platform that we're using, and I'm sure he'd appreciate any questions coming in, and I'm sure he can share some of his insights and go into any more detail of the topics that he's covered today. But for now, I just want to say big thank you to Bryan, because we really appreciate it, and it's also been a great presentation and a great way to start our day. So Bryan, thank you very much.
Thank you guys for the opportunity. The stuff you do really, really is important. So thank you.